So, how is everyone?
Good, thank you.
Good, good. Coffee kicking in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the day when they start giving sachets of Barocca on the breakfast tables and Pro Plus. So, building a business case 5 years on. It was a bit of a nostalgic experience, really, putting this presentation together. I hadn't quite appreciated how long we'd had the scheme in place and worked with Glenn. So just a little bit, I'm Sophie, I work at Grant Thornton. I'm in reward and pensions, and I couldn't quite believe that I've actually been in it 15 years this year. I'm sure there's like a special LinkedIn group or something that I'm going to get invited to. Well, I'm hoping so anyway. 6 years has been with Grant Thornton, and prior to that I was in local government, so I can really relate to the fact that it's difficult to secure budget and justify the spend in this type of area. I work in the reward and policy team at Grant Thornton, and we look after our UK workforce rather than the sort of client fee earning side of things. So for those of you who don't know Grant Thornton, we're one of the world's leading organisations of independent assurance, tax and advisory firms. We have 38,500 people across 120 countries now, so we've got a really good global presence. Specifically in the UK, we have 4,500 people, over 28 sites. So if you're in HR, you need to travel. We're everywhere, Belfast, Edinburgh, Glasgow. Just a little bit about our UK demographic. Our laptop generation, on your first day, BlackBerry laptop, so we can work anywhere. So we're quite lucky in the fact that most of our demographic's online, especially when you're launching benefit schemes. We have a 50-50 male to female split quite evenly. And we're quite a young bunch, and just over 60% of us are under 39, so I think that's young. And everything we do is underpinned by our clear values, and they're essentially a forum that we go out to consult with, and they make the decisions on how we drive the business forward internally. So what does CLEAR stand for? It's just a brief. Most organisations have ambitions or goals now. This is official meanings. I'm sure people make different meanings up depending on where they are in the day. So I was just going to go briefly what we've got in a nutshell. We've got quite a lot of reward activities and initiatives. We have quite a comprehensive salary sacrifice scheme. 20 plus benefits, there's a lot of insurances and medical benefits in there. We have a recognition scheme, catchily titled Clear Recognition, just in line with our values, and you can send e-cards through that. We have our voluntary benefits, which are with Reward Gateway, and our discount scheme. We also have some performance rewards, which include a client incentive scheme and a recruitment bounty for people who are referring friends into the firm. And we have a number of loans, subscriptions and memberships, so we'll reimburse people for disabled or senior rail cards or 16 to 25 rail cards if they're using them for business purposes. So we've got a great mixture there. There's a lot to manage for a team of 4. So I just thought I'd go on briefly to say why we need voluntary benefits. Just some thought-provoking questions. But salary sacrifice schemes, they're great. I'm not knocking them. But they tend to be focused quite heavily on health and insurances. And a great example of this was when I met up with some friends last month in London. They'd come up from Cornwall. And I'm not sure about the reward professionals here, but I find the question, what do you do, really difficult to answer at parties. So I was having some drinks and the question came up and the dread came over me. So I said, oh, I deal with pensions and private medical insurance. You could see the sort of excitement draining from their face. And then I said, shopping discounts. And they were like, shopping discounts, wow. This is how we booked our trip to London. And I everyone for a little bit of research, had a look at the site, and the irony was we all had Reward Gateway, three very different employers, a pharmacist, care home and Grant Thornton. But the point of that is, although pensions, private medical insured benefits are really, really important, it's these voluntary benefits that people can access and tap into every day that people really value. So I found that really interesting, and now I know what to say at dinner parties. So where's the flex in flexible? We're an on-demand nation. Look at how communications and media pitch things to us. Next day delivery, on-demand television. We want it now. We don't want to wait 12 months. We don't want to commit for that period of time. I think people sort of are scared of the commitment in salary sacrifice schemes. So it's good to encourage them to go into it because of the savings. But they need to become a little bit more flexible in terms of how people can access them. And I know there's sort of restrictions around the revenue limits. Can one size fit all? Well, this is more around the diversity. And if you've seen in the media at the moment, our workforce is ageing, we're getting older. I'm sure many of you know that when the normal retirement date was abolished, there was a specific exemption on health insurances and risk benefits. So as your workforce is getting older, that salary sacrifice selection is going to reduce if from sort of 65 to 70. They won't have as many benefits to pick. So voluntary benefits do fit all. They fit everyone's shopping habits. You know, everyone needs to spend money, and it's great if they can save some at the same time. Under pressure, fighting the war for talent. I mean, this is another big issue. Have your competitors got voluntary benefit schemes in place? Do you need to put one in place just to keep your position in the market? It's an interesting one, and especially for like county councils now, more of those are introducing these types of schemes. They're becoming really common, and people are sort of looking to just be on the same lines as the other organisations that they're working with. And lastly, keeping it real, I see voluntary benefits as kind of like a lifestyle tool, because you can get your shopping, car insurance, your new dress and outfit. It's a benefit that, as I mentioned earlier, people can tap into any time they want, and there's no real restrictions on it. So why Reward Gateway? Well, as everyone knows, they're one of the leading providers. The site's really easy to use, and the user experience is very much sort of the Amazon, Google type easy feel to it. The visibility of your account and your cashback and the discounts are really easy to digest as well. And I'm not sure if many of you worked with Reward Gateway in the past, but their culture tends to be slightly different, I feel, to other organisations, from office cats and dogs to flash mobs. You know, you can't get much more of a varied culture than that. But they're really ideas driven and innovative, and that's why it's great working with them. And they spend a lot of investment on their technology, so you know you're always getting the best system. They're retailers and offers. They've got a great range of those, something to suit everyone. Bespoke client offers. Due to the nature of business at Grant Thornton, we have a lot of clients. Some of those clients want to pass on discounts to our workforce. So it's really easy platform for us to say to Reward Gateway, we want to get this online for our workforce. And it also, in turn, makes our clients feel valued, like we're pushing their products or giving exposure to their products as such. And lastly, the management information. The portal's really easy to download. You can access it at any time. So, we proudly present Shopping Gateway. This is our voluntary benefits portal. We launched back in November 2007. We were quite an early adopter to the voluntary benefits world. This was implemented after quite a large merger back in July 2007, and it was introduced as a kind of sweetener to the flexible benefits we were planning on introducing in the April 2008. So we had quite a soft launch because in April 2008, with introducing Flex, we were also looking to harmonise terms and conditions at the same time. So we wanted to get people familiar with what benefits were and how they were evolving. And we did this, the site was corporately branded at the time with all the Grant Thornton branding, lots of purple. And we used a series of emails, intranet articles and poster type communications. I think because we have so many systems and now we have the Flex system, we took a decision about 3 years ago to treat this portal more like a lifestyle tool, take the corporate branding off. You know, people are logging into this at the weekend, in the evenings. Do we really want to be reminding them of work? But it depends really what you're planning on using the site for. If you're using it to promote your values and a type of intranet type benefits portal, then I completely understand sort of the corporate branding. But we've got so many sort of systems that we felt that we could sort of make this one a little less corporate. So what's happened since? Engagement levels. Due to our online demographic, we're quite lucky really. We've had a constant sort of 75% plus engagement across the workforce over the last sort of 5-6 years. We tend to look at the top events during the year to form our communications plans. So last year we had the Olympics, this year's the World Cup, and we throw a mixture of the usual suspects like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Christmas in there, and we plan that out for the year. We also run surveys. Some are on the voluntary benefits site. The most recent one wasn't, because I'm trying to capture that 25% who aren't registering. So we did that internally to try and see, why aren't you using the site? Why aren't you registering? Do you know how much you can save? Do it now. Competitions, if we're feeling a bit frivolous, we'll give away an iPad or some cinema tickets. We mix those competitions up, and they always have a sort of purpose for us to get feedback from those competitions. So there's useful purpose to it. We don't just give away iPads. And total spend, this is something that really shocked me. I tend to look at our spending sort of year on year. And I think last year was just over 2 million spent on the site. But in total, we are now at 9.6 million spent through the site, and I couldn't quite believe we've actually spent that much money. So yeah, well, I think we'll be hitting the 10 million mark by the end of the year. So to me, that's a really successful scheme. And when we look at the management information, we've got a great mixture of Sainsbury's, Asda, Expedia, so we've got the holidays in there and the DIY. So we know people are using it on a regular basis for shopping purposes. So what's next? We've just launched a new business collaboration tool. I don't know much about these tools or how many organisations now have them. It's called Jam. It's kind of like work Facebook. That's how I'd pitch it. You can set up groups, you can like people, you can follow people. And we've recently, literally sort of a week or so ago, launched our Shopping Gateway group on the site. And we've had quite a few people sign up already, which is great. And really what we do is we replicate the top offers, which are also on the Shopping Gateway site. But it's a portal for people to share their stories, what they've saved, post pictures even of their new Fiorelli handbag for this season or whatever. They can share, and they can also ask questions if they've got difficulties registering. So this is where we're trying to direct these 25% that aren't registering on the site to try and see who they are and get hold of them. But it's a secure environment on on the actual JAM system, you can create groups which are open or secret. So we're quite excited about that and the evolution of that. So there's just some things really that if you're building a business case, the first one is sort of decision makers and influencers. Find out, who are you pitching this to? Is it your financial director? Is it your HR director? What makes them tick as such? Where do they do their shopping? Get some relevant examples that they can relate to in there, because I think that really helps when people can think, oh, okay, I shop at Marks and Spencer's, for instance, and I can save 10%. If that's where your FD shops, then get an example in there so you can really sort of take that away. And has it been considered before? I mean, these schemes have been in place for quite a long time now. So I'm always one for a good investigation. Do some digging around. Has a report been produced before? Was the answer no? Why was it no? Can you address those concerns this time round and reassure people? Employee value propositions. This is just going back to the clear values earlier. If you're looking to put a system in place, can you weave those strategic goals, ambitions, values into that business case to justify why you need a system or a benefits platform like this? It's really useful, I think, when Paula mentioned earlier how they've sort of weaved their values into the benefits portal and trying to push a different type of culture out there. And listening. According to the Times top 100 companies to work for, people just want to be listened to, and it's the single most important factor when they're submitting their answers to the Times, when they're selecting the best employers. So I don't know how many of you have employee engagement surveys or annual staff surveys, but I'd really encourage you to look at the reward questions in there and even try to get a measure of how a picture of how they deem reward before you launch a system like this. So you've got a measure that after you've launched, you can compare the two, and that will go on then to justify why the budget in future years, if you've got that measure in place. Calculate and measure your savings. Quick show of hands. Who's got a salary sacrifice scheme in place at the moment in their employer? And keep your hand up if you know how much you save. Exactly. One person.
We need it to fund this.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Most local government people will use that as leverage to secure the budget. But a lot of other companies who don't have to sort of kind of justify that budget as much don't know how much they save from these schemes. I'm guilty of it, but it's really important to use as leverage in your business case for financial directors. This is what makes them sort of sit up and listen. If we took salary sacrifice away, how much the payroll costs would go up. So it's really important for HR to, okay, we don't earn fees, but we save a lot of money, and sometimes we need to plough some of that money back into the workforce. Attracting and retaining people. Look at your recruitment stats. Do you have pockets of high turnover? What are these people, what area of work is it? Are they going to another company that has a better benefits selection? Have you got any feedback from sort of exit interviews? Again, it's another really good thing to consider, and you might find some information in there that you can put in the business case. Pay reviews. I'm not sure how relevant this is now, the economy's picking up. But if you only have a small pay review budget, would it be demotivating to give such a small pay award to someone when you can provide them with a platform to save sort of £500–600 at Sainsbury's per year? If you can't give that in a pay award, then it's something to consider on top of that. And lastly, sort of your competitors and your network. What are the other people around you doing? I saw a great example of this at the last Benefits Excellence Live event, where I think Hertfordshire County Council had worked with Kent County Council to help justify the budget. So it's really important to tap into have a chat with people here today and if, ask for their feedback on your business case. But working with people across different organisations I find really, really useful. So, lastly, fueling the fire. There was a report about 18 months ago that Grant Thornton produced, and it's available on our website, called The War for Talent, What It Means for the Bottom Line. And this is a great report because it highlights the importance of reward initiatives directly to financial directors, and that's how the report's pitched up. So you might find some really useful information in there to try and stress how important it is to look after your workforce and how a happy and engaged workforce can increase productivity. There's just some research there, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, the Towers Watson did some with The Economist on the rising age of our workforce. And again, there might be something in there that you can use. And then there's the standard sort of reward management survey that CIPD produced. I'm not sure when the 2014 one's out, but the 2013's still available on their website. So that's kind of it from me. But if anyone has any success stories from they've taken something away from today, that would be great if you could share that with Glenn or myself on LinkedIn, or just so we know that we're on the right track and we're helping each other out as a reward community. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Sophie.